Autobots, transform! Would you like to beg for your lives?
Okay, so moving on, that's pretty much it for the iGear Computer Control Center. I think I showed you pretty much everything. So I'm going to show you these little guys. If you've been watching my G1 reviews, these guys are always in the background somewhere. I try to pluck them in new places each time I review. But it's Spike Wiki and SPARKPLUG Wiki, made by a third-party company. I believe Impossible Toys. And they're meant to be Diaclone size figures, so they can fit inside the original G1 vehicle. And I have Diaclone figures for every review, but I don't see a Diaclone figure right now. Okay, wow. Here is a Diaclone figure, and they're pretty much the same height. Bulk and width may vary, but there's a Diaclone pilot designed to fit inside Transformers before they were Transformers. And here are the third-party Spike and SPARKPLUG. It amazes me that Hasbro and Takara never got around to doing this with these guys. And let's take a look at Spike. Let me zoom out. Let's take a look at Spike. He has some white eyes with some brown dots for his eyeballs or pupils. And he has painted eyebrows and painted hair. And his articulation is, I don't know if the head moves. I never tried to move the head. I don't think the head moves. Arms 360 on a little slim joint. And he comes with a little stand that works very well with him. I think he stands up without it, but I always use it. It actually has two pegs in the stand. Two holes at the bottom of his work boot feet. He moves at the hip. And that's pretty much it. Both legs kick up. He can sit down inside the vehicle, like I said. But that is a look at Spike. He also came with a hard hat. They both came with a hard hat, but I lost one. Here's his hard hat. And I was going to glue these hard hats on these guys, but I wanted to have some options, so I didn't. And then I wound up losing one. But take the hard hat off, and let's go to his dad. SPARKPLUG Wiki. He's a little hefty guy. Little stomach. His shirt is open. He has some molded in pockets on his shirt. Molded in t-shirt under there. Molded boots and legs. He comes off his stand. He came with a wrench that's in his hand. Obviously his favorite wrench or whatever. A little standoff exact same as Spike's. And this side, like his wrench kind of stuck in his hand pretty good on his own. But I put a dab of glue on it so I wouldn't lose that. Unlike I lost his hard hat. And I'm not sure which one of these guys hard hat it is either way. Anyway, but they came with these little tiny hard hats. Again, this was made by Impossible Toys, if I'm getting that correct. Impossible Toys made these little guys, and they're really cool to have in the background or next to some of your Generation 1 Transformers, like Optimus Prime. Okay, there he is in Optimus Prime's hand, like he's talking to Optimus. And these are these two little guys. I can't remember what I paid for these. I think these guys were like $10 a piece. And then they wanted something like $5 shipping. It was like crazy. Anyway, I got these guys. Exosuit Spike. I opened this before. I just put them back in the packaging. But he comes packaged like I still have the packaging for this one. And he comes out, yeah, it's actually Impossible Toys. So they made these guys too. It's an Exosuit Spike before we ever got one from the Masterpiece line. And this guy, the head sculpt was pretty awesome. He's in like a resin suit. The plastic quality is not that great, but the molding detail is pretty good. And what they tried to do is pretty awesome. Here's the exosuit from the 1986 movie, or supposed to resemble. He has little boosters on the back, a little bit of paint there, and a little bit of paint you see here is just from him falling down and getting knocked around. Look at his molded hands, fists. It's pretty cool. Has some molded in detail. Both fists, the thighs, and the feet. a little separation right there. And you know, the plastic feels kind of off. It feels kind of cheap. It's not bad. It's like solid cheap, but cheap. And you can see his transparent dome, and you can remove that and take a closer look at Spike, which doesn't look bad. I think his face looks better than any masterpiece humanoid accessory to date. Has a white eyes, painted pupils, eyebrows, a little bit of paint on his lips. The hair looks cool, looks real cool. It's a little neck, and the arms really don't articulate. They kind of screw in and screw out. And if you keep screwing them out, they'll separate further from the body and give you that little cartoon look. But if you go too far, they will come out like that. But to kind of have them like stay in place, you kind of have to screw them in or angle them just right. So that's his arm articulation, and his legs come forward this far. The knee doesn't bend down, but it bends forward for the transfer. I totally forgot this thing's supposed to transform. It just folds over. But anyway, for the transformation. And here's the clear dome. I think it goes both ways. Nope, it goes this way. Put that back on, and you got to screw these things back in close to the body as you can. Wrong way. And then you bend them over, and he's transformed. And this is the best they had. And these are supposed to be the wheels. And because of the plastic that's made out of, it doesn't like, when it rubs, the friction makes it not roll. And I know it's not going to roll on this surface, but this was supposed to be a transformation or whatnot. And you can see these are supposed to be the wheels down here. And they tried. This is before Masterpiece Toys ever gave us an Exosuit Spike. And just standing there, he looks great. He looks great. He's a little bit too big for G1 guys, but he was made to go with G1 guys. And I'm going to bring out Optimus again because he's sort of the go-to guy. I kind of hate just keep hitting Optimus Prime because it's too easy, but I got him right here. So this is Exosuit Spike next to Optimus. And again, he kind of looks, I think he looks better with Masterpiece guys. And I'm going to put him next to Hound. So that's him in the Exosuit. And they also made, move some of this crap. They also gave us Daniel, of course, which also differs from Spike. And drop Daniel out. Too bad they didn't put like a little bio on the back of these, but they kind of tried to give us the G1 carded thing. Exosuit 2, the designation from Impossible Toys. And they even gave us a function, espionage. I didn't even realize that. Alright, here is Daniel. The same suit on a smaller scale. It's the same thing. It's smaller than Dad's and apparently a little bit more loose because it's not standing up. And he's not standing up now. Well, okay, here's father and son. Give us a call. I don't even know if that's just a Michigan commercial and you guys didn't get that reference or whatever. But anyway, here's Daniel. He has some yellow on the front of the suit. Same suit again, smaller scale, same transformation. We're going to pop off his dome. There is Daniel's face. He looks amazing, looks great. They really nailed the little face sculpt on these guys. I think that was the selling point. And the overall sculpt of the suit is very nice. And these things will look good in any collection, even if they're out of scale with G1. Because G1 was never in scale with anything else. The Jets weren't in scale with Optimus. Optimus wasn't in scale with Megatron. And Megatron, gun mode wasn't in scale with anything. So, you know. But, Impossible Toys, Spike and Daniel, and Exosuit. I'll move these two guys back next to these. And they gave us both of these, right? They're both the same company, gave us both of these. And it's a huge size difference. But I guess they were going for two different things. And one of the heavy hitters that Impossible Toys gave us was the QUINTESSON Judge. And we're finally going to get some from Hasbro. And it comes in this little egg shape. I think I got the box. Let me see if I got the box. I'll be right back. Okay, so after running to the basement and actually knocking a few things down, I have produced the box. And these things had started to go for a lot of money. I'm talking about in the hundreds. I think they were like $26 when they came out. And I've seen them within the last year sell on eBay for close to $300 individually. These things really shot up. I know the bottom gonna fall out of them. Fall out of them now. The Hasbro releasing some official ones, but we will see. Anyway, it's called Quint01 Function Judge Impossible Toys, ages 8 and up. This is, I think, the front of the packaging has the face of death on there, which is the most iconic one. And the artwork looks amazing. The box is very cool. Wish I took better care of it. Again, these toys came out, all these little figures I've just showed you came out over 10 years ago. Quint01, it says 5 super detailed faces, function judge again. And on the back, he has a tech spec and a bio. His bio reads as follows: the 5 faces: war, wrath, wisdom, death, judgment. These are 5 faces that make up a quint, which is quintesson. Their only purpose is to eliminate those who threaten their being. In spite of having 5 faces, no matter which voice speaks, generally verdict ends up the same: innocent. Generally a nomadic race, the quintessons, I say quintessons, it says quint. The quintesson way is to invade and colonize new worlds. In order to do so, they have to create robotic slaves in which they use on the battlefield. Their goal is to recreate their home world on each planet they invade. And his little technical readout: his strength is a 4, his intelligence is a 10, his speed is a 9, his endurance is a 4, his rank is a 7. I mean, who is he like comparing his rank to? It should be a 10, right? His courage is a 7, surprisingly. His firepower is a 8. Wow, and his skill is a 10. That's pretty impressive. And then the bottom of the box has like the different faces and the artwork, which is pretty cool. Yet again, I already said that. It shows you on this side that it actually lights up with light up action. So there is your judge, and this is his box. So let's take a look at the judge. Here comes the judge. Here comes the judge. So here he is on his little translucent stand. Mine has started to yellow over time, and I swear last time I pulled it out, it was not yellowing. But I know a little trick to get that out of there, so another time for that. But here is the face of death. Let me check the bottom. And the face of judgment, the face of war, the face of wisdom, and the face of wrath. Look like the devil to me. But in the little stand, you could tell this wasn't like produced at like some of these upscale third-party factories. Now you can tell somebody was doing this thing like in their basement or whatever. The paint, when I got it, it's still to this day, the paint, if you hold it long enough, it'll start to stick to your finger. So whatever the plastic they used and painted it on, it just didn't mesh well, and it just would come off. And you can see it right here just by touching it. This isn't just knocking it over. This is like, if you touch it long enough, the sweat from your finger will pull the paint off. But other than that, the faces are sculpted, like the box says, highly detailed. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better toy in the 80s when this thing came out, a better sculpt back in the 80s, back in the mid 2000s when it came out, or maybe even now. We have to wait to see what Hasbro got and how they look. But these are the faces, and behind the faces, all of them come off. And they go on a specific way. You can see they're individually painted, and they just have this like this yellow or beige plastic underneath. It's sort of kind of pliable. You can squeeze it a little bit, and each one has an individual notch. And if you take them all off, kind of don't want to do it, you can remove the top and put a battery inside, and this is the hidden switch that activates the stand. Well, I got to cut off some light so you can see it. Now they decided to paint this one all the way around, unlike this one, this face. And I got a face coming off over here, this face back on here. And again, they go in specific places, so you can have the faces in order. The cartoon has a little bit of paint for whatever this is down here. Am I focusing this right? Am I sucking at this? And then it has the tentacles down here. He had spikes coming out the top of his head. You can see it on the box. But all it took for one time, because you can see the stand is not very balanced. It's a little bit leaning this way, if you can see it. And all it took was one time for this thing to fall off the shelf, and it drops like a missile, and it hit the spikes and broke them. You can see one broke off in there, And right there, I keep saying I'm gonna put something in here to make it look cool again, but for now, this is what we got. Turn on some lights. Let's see if we can see the stand glow, the beam of light he rides on, and there it is, which is pretty cool. It's just one little switch, and after all these years, it still works. And I still got a lot of daylight coming in, so this thing it's pretty cool. And I was very excited to get these and add these because they had never really been done, but now they're coming. Face of death always, and then you can see it just doesn't line up right, and it just comes out of there. There is the light. Here's the stand. It's two separate pieces, and these things, they're not bendable. You can kind of pose them how you want to if you just work at it, and they'll sag back down. But you can get them into a few little poses, but they're not bendy is what I meant to say. You can bend them, but they're not just the bendy wire. So anyway, they made these guys. They made the judges, and the judges were a hit. And I bought a couple. I had 3 of them, but I cannot find the third one to save my life. But I have the second one here somewhere coming. Alright, here is my second one. I don't think I have a battery in this one, do I? Yep, I do. And it still works. Like these, I've had these batteries in here for years, everybody. 10 years this battery been in here. 10 years, and they still work. Look at that. Look at that. I'm shocked. I know a couple of my figures, the electronics don't work, but the electronics still work in these guys after years. They made the scientist. Get this guy out here, and he's another example of whatever paint they use versus plastic, it just wouldn't stick to it. And his sculpt is pretty amazing. They made some pretty amazing figures, but the paints and the plastic was a little bit inferior, but the sculpt was like top notch and still top notch. Like I say, I can't wait to compare them to the new Hasbro version. Here is the QUINTESSON Scientist box real quick. There is artwork not as great as the previous box I just showed you. Function Scientist, Impossible Toys, Quint 02. And I pulled it out, luckily enough, in the right order. It shows him light up, his eyes light up, and his laser beam stand lights up, and I don't think mine lights up anymore. Anyway, here's his bio. I'm not going to go through all that. If you guys would like to pause it and read it. There it is, and here are his stats down here. And I was curious, his rank is the same. I think the bio is the same. I don't know what I do with the other box. Let's see if it's I mean, not the bio, it's the stats. I think they are, yeah, they're the same. They just put the same thing on it. Like, I was curious if they changed the rank. Like, the scientist should be ranked a little bit lower, but anyway. Here's the scientist. We didn't see this guy in the movie, but he was introduced on the episodes, and oh, I'm missing a tentacle. Alright, I found it. These things come apart a little bit on you. Here it is, and here he is, and you can see he had a little bitty antenna right here that's broken off over time. These little pieces, and you can see like dust and everything sticking to it because the paint was still like sticky to the touch. Some of the plastic parts, like this stuff, is good, but the softer plastic that was meant to bend around, the paint didn't adhere to it very well. And like say you see on the tentacle, this isn't from moving it, this is just from touch, and you can see all like little dust stuck to it. Like I said, it was still cool to have, but the quality, the scope was excellent, but the quality of the pieces they were using, not so much. And this is him on the stand, and then can't even remember how you activated this guy. But in the eyes will light up like I showed in the box. But I don't think this guy works anymore. I don't think so. Have to check it out and come back to it. The scientist. Oh, let's take a look at his little collar and paint. And then the paint that they use, like it's like low grade paint. And you can just tell it's like too thick, and some places it's not thick enough. It's just, but they really tried. They really tried. It's cool. It's cool to have these guys. It really is. And that's the scientist. And here is, I believe this is the executioner. I don't have his box anymore. And again, the sculpt is excellent, but the plastic and sorry about the camera, everybody. Executioner from the movie. He was in the movie. The plastic just kind of fails this set. And here he is. Look at his face. Does his mouth articulate? I think his mouth articulates ever so slightly. Might not be on purpose, but you can feel it. You can feel it give and then go back. There's his face, red painted eyes, silver on the eyes, purple face. And he has like these things for hands and claws or gauntlets underneath or whatever. That's how he appeared in the movie. His articulation is as follows. He rotates at the shoulder. He bends at the elbow, and it's going to come off because like it's just the materials they use. But the ideal was excellent, and most of the stuff pops back on there, and it's back on there. The head turns. I believe. Yep, the head turns ever so slightly, and you see like the little stuff sticking and coming to the waist. For some reason, it moves in and out here. They gave it side to side motion in here, but the hip doesn't turn up, and it has a knee articulation and it comes forward. Then it has a foot articulation, but they didn't do anything right here on the hips, which is weird. Turn around the back of the guy, and again, these guys are really cool to have. I want to buy most of these guys on clearance. It's funny how they didn't really sell out instantly and went on clearance on a lot of the sites. Like I just hate always saying Big Bad, but I guess they are the company to beat right now as far as adult collectibles. I got all these off Big Bad, and all of them but the first Judge I got on clearance. And then once they went on clearance, they shot up through the roof. I'm gonna keep going if I can get this guy to stand up. And the last one I got is what is he? I think this guy, he's the bailiff, and I lost his little stand, which really sucks because there's no way of getting one right now. And the way the prices people want for these things, he is really, really cool.
Would you like to bet
I thought he was really, really cool.
sometimes
You would screw it. I don't think this one works either. I have to change the battery and see. But you would screw this in and out to activate his light up beam. It's not working, and this was the guy to execute them. So his whole shoulder rotates. His little tentacles are very well done. The paint on these things were a little bit better than his. Well, a lot better than this guy's. And they rotate, and you can kind of get them in a few poses. It looks like I'm missing a tentacle. Dang it, I just realized I'm missing a tentacle from this guy. And I guess I'm missing the stand too. So, hey, maybe I can make one of my own. But anyway, this is this guy. And you can actually swap out stands or whatever. And I can get this guy on there. Which sucks that I'm missing one. And then now I'm missing a tentacle. I see in my little bag the antenna for this guy is right here. So I guess I can glue that back on. Close the time window. The time window. On the episode he was on. So I think that's it for my Impossible Toys lineup. They made the alligator con, but I tried to be clever and wait for them to clearance that thing out, and it was amazingly popular, and then it sold out, and I never got one. So I can never call it. But this is the Impossible Toys third-party set that I pull out from video to enhance the video, the review that I'm doing. So in case anybody wants to know, here's some of the stuff. So rolling on. So thanks again for watching another episode of George Reviews. The reviews where every toy has a story, even the third party.